What's up, guys? Welcome back to Smell the Roses. Happy Sunday. I hope that you all have had a wonderful Valentine's Day weekend. I know I've been promising you all this segment or this episode for a minute now, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about this since this has been getting a lot of national attention on top of all of the Epstein files and things of that nature. Okay. So today, what's up, Stephen James? Good to see you. I hope that you had a lovely Valentine's Day filled with lots of love. Um, Today's episode is called What is the federal government actually responsible for? Okay. So, what's up, the genius CEO? It's good to see you too. I hope that you had a lovely Valentine's Day yesterday and that your love tank is filled with love and joy today. I've been promising you guys that I was going to start these episodes up again. They're a part of my Power and Petals series where we learn about the government. So this is basically like a civics one-on-one, okay? But we're talking about what the federal government is actually responsible for. We've got things going on in Minnesota, things going on in Chicago. We got AOC traveling the world, talking as if she's a part of the executive branch, pissing everybody off. So I thought that I should get back to these episodes so that we can kind of like educate ourselves and each other on what the actual federal government, federal government is actually responsible for versus your local government. Okay, so today we're talking about federal government, and let's be honest, most people are always upset with the government, right? Always. Let me bring this down for a minute. So it's just me now. Okay, sorry, StreamYard is acting a bit weird on my end. So if I freeze, you guys let me know and I'll refresh myself. But yeah, so people are basically always pissed off with the federal government, but don't actually know which level of government they're really mad at, right? We blame the president for gas prices, Congress for potholes, the Supreme Court for your local school's curriculum. And today we're just going to break down and answer one simple question. What is the federal government actually responsible for, and what is it not responsible for? Because understanding this changes how you vote, you know, who you pressure, and where accountability actually belongs. Okay. But before I get into just breaking down the 1, 2, 3, 4s about what the federal government is responsible for, I want to show you guys a video that is just kind of eye-opening. It is, let me move it over here so that I can look at it with you all like this, or actually like this. This video here comes from the Paralegal Institute. He breaks down a lot of what's going on in local government, but this video here specifically is going to talk about AOC, right? She is a person in government in New York. But for whatever reason, Europe has asked her to come and speak on the American people's behalf. Okay, so we all have to get through this together. I do want to just say that I'm using this video in the guise of fair use, and this is not to drag AOC for filth, but this is to expound on our understanding on why she's out of pocket most of the time, and why many people in government and outside of government don't like her or respect her much. branch, okay? And part of this is, I think, a lack of education on her part. I understand that she's very passionate about what she believes in, but her position within local government or Congress, so to speak, within the House of Representatives, it doesn't give her any kind of authority to make decisions on behalf of the executive branch, okay, which is where the president sits, okay? But let's look at this video so it can help you understand a little bit more. What's up, Cases and Cans? It's good to see you. DeAndre, it's awesome to see you. I hope that you all had a happy Valentine's Day. Okay.
Congressman, I'll start with you. Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
You know, I think that this is such a, you know, I think that this is a, this is, of course, a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
Kamala vibes there. She even came out swinging at Trump for his policy on Greenland and Canada.
The world has changed. I don't think that it is controversial to say that. I don't think that the president can act the way that he has acted towards Greenland. I don't think he can institute the not just the tariffs, but the rhetoric towards our Canadian neighbors without consequences.
She might want to try taking a page out of Vice President J.D. Vance's playbook.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America.
Okay, so if anybody out there can make sense of what she just said, you deserve a cookie. And you'll probably be one of her only few voters if she does run for president, y'all. Oh, seriously, I'm predicting that she's going to rise to the ranks. She'll probably take the Nancy Pelosi trajectory, become very powerful in the House, maybe even run for Senate at some point. Nah, this lady, she can't get on the stage and win presidency. Not talking like that. That's something that I also think might not be correctable because, frankly, she doesn't have the answers. I mean, it's clear. And y'all, in case you thought that was the only time something like that happened, now let's take a look at another example.
I think what we identify is that in a rules-based order, hypocrisy is vulnerability. And so I think what we are seeking is a return to a rules-based order that eliminates the hypocrisies around when too often in the West, we'd look the other way for inconvenient populations to act out these paradoxes.
Oh, 100%. This whole idea that she's pushing for a rules-based order, which is a line she picked up on Wikipedia because she read a little bit about this conference before going and had no idea what it was about. But this is someone, rules-based order from the woman who is a socialist, who doesn't follow basic rules like what governs an economy, but rules-based order from a woman who supported Hamas. I don't quite understand how you can support a rules-based order while siding with terrorists who want to see an entire country disappear simply because it has Jews in it. So I'm not entirely sure she even knows really what she's talking about, other than she knows to hit on certain key words to make her seem like she's knowledgeable, but she ends up seeming like she's Kamala Harris, which is not who you want to seem like if you're running for president.
And finally, y'all, I promised you a Gretchen Whitmer bonus track, y'all. Whitmer, she might want to run for president as well. Did she run for? I think she already ran for president. Anyway, y'all, she doesn't have the answers either. And if she's going to get up on a national or international stage and do this, her prospects don't look very good either.
On Ukraine, what does victory look like?
Ambassador? No, please. I'd love to hear your answer. it is. The two that I am on the panel with are much more steeped in foreign policy than a governor is. But I do think that Ukraine's independence, keeping their land mass, and having the support of all the allies, I think is the goal from my vantage point. Go ahead, Ambassador. Do a better job.
So yeah, y'all, just a little tight video about your girl, AOC. She's going across the world speaking tribal lingua, speaking mumbo jumbo. So y'all, what do you think? Do you think AOC runs for president in 2028?
She should.
If so, do you think she has a shot?
No.
I just don't think so.
Me
I don't
neither.
think she runs, and I definitely don't think she has a shot because
So I'm going to stop it here because I want her face to be up here when I kind of like read her for filth, right? So the problem with Miss Alexandria is that it's just like a reoccurring issue with her over and over again. It's like, I work in government policy, and there are so many people that I have to get approval for in order to put anything onto a document that's going to be public facing. So if it comes to you all and I had anything to do with it, it goes through the wash machine, literally. Okay, department after department after department have to fact check what I'm saying from my opening line to my closing statement every single time. And when you go through a process like that, you start to learn who it is that matters as far as affecting change, right? That's why I say you need to know who your U.S. representative is. You need to know who your congressperson is, because before it gets up to the president, your complaints need to go through those people first. Okay, just like my policy documents have to go through the washer, in order for you to get some kind of traction and to form some change within your county, within your city, within your state, you're going to have to complain up the proper chain. Okay, you don't just send a letter to the president of the United States about what's going on in your county, right? There are people that you have to go through in your her to make some change happen there, right? And it's like AOC doesn't understand her own position within the US federal government or her state government. She does not understand that. And I think it's because she could be probably a plant. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not for her to know, maybe it's for her handlers to know. But even though she might have handlers, they make her look very stupid time and time again, right? So AOC, she's a legislator. She's not an executive decision maker. Okay. So although she has passions and she feels very strongly about certain ideas, she is not in the executive branch. She does absolutely nothing to affect federal law. Okay. Now she can help vote on it, but she does not get to determine any of those things. And if you want to go and you want to speak to the international world, like go to Germany and sit down with these people and speak to American government, you should probably know these things, right? She does not conduct any foreign policy. I don't know why Germany invited her. She does not negotiate with federal governments. Again, I don't know why Germany invited her. She does not command the military. Again, I don't know why Germany invited her. And she does not execute U.S. strategy abroad. So why is she talking about Greenland? Why is she talking about Canada? Again, AOC, you're out of pocket. Again, as you are many times. It's fine for you to have an opinion, but it's not fine for you to go and speak on behalf of the American people in foreign nations. Okay, so that gets annoying. That really pisses people off. Those powers primarily belong to the president. the State Department, and the DOD, which is the Department of Defense. Many of you soldiers that are in my chat right now, who do you take orders from? Do you take orders from an AOC? Or do your orders come from the executive branch itself? Right? You're not going to listen to an AOC. So why does she go out and speak to these other nations as if she's affecting some kind of change from the executive branch? It's just weird, right? When she speaks as if Congress can directly control overseas outcomes, critics argue she's overstating her legislative power. Okay? It's absolutely crazy. No, I didn't see the flyer with AOC and Kamala back to back that read 2028. Don't play with me, DeAndre. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm going to look for that after the show, or maybe you could drop the link to the flyer in the chat so I can pull it up for everyone. But I did not see that, and I hope to God that does not happen. I hope to God it doesn't happen, because you know how people will eat that black and brown woman to woman kind of thing up. And that really scares me, because as you could see, the two women that fought really hard to get into the room to sit at these tables, they don't even know how to freaking speak about foreign policy. And I would ask them, why would you accept the invitation if you are not ready to have that kind of conversation? You know, it just makes women look bad. It makes women look bad because you guys fuss and you fight with the men to be able to sit in these positions, to be able to be a part of the conversation. And then you can't even run your mouth eloquently enough to formulate really thoughtful responses. It was really hard to watch. Like, my stomach was hurting. Right. So this is the thing about oversight versus control, which seems to be a common confusion for Miss AOC here, who we see looking like always, you know, so serious, but nothing but psychobabble comes out of her mouth, right? Congress can approve or deny funding. They can hold hearings, and they can pass laws that constrain action. Right? Like, we see what's going on with the Epstein files. They're putting a lot of pressure on the executive branch, you know, which is control over the FBI and these other organizations to, you know, unredact the files that were supposed to be unredacted. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, right? They can approve or deny funding, hold hearings like they're doing with the Epstein files, and pass laws that constrain action. Congress cannot, and I repeat, cannot micromanage military operations, right? And what operations do we see going on in places like, well, they're not military yet, but they're, you know, Trump is saying, you know, put ICE out there and have ICE do their job to deport these people, right? They cannot micromanage that. They cannot direct diplomats in real time, and they cannot instantly reverse foreign alliances. Okay. So, you know, whether or not, whatever Trump says he wants to do with Greenland, she ain't got no say in that whatsoever. She can feel a certain kind of way about it, but she does not do anything to, you know, formulate some kind of change in that process in what he wants to do. And much of the criticism suggests that she talks as if she's a congressional pressure alone, but she doesn't really do anything. She can't really do anything to affect federal power or how it works. And so this is why she just rubs people the wrong way, right? And then there's like her moral positioning, right? Versus constitutional authority, okay? So basically AOC often frames issues in moral terms, right? And sometimes Fatty talks about this when we're talking about relationships and whether men are good or bad, right? or what makes a good man or what makes a good woman. And, just because you're married, are you good? You could be married, but you could still be cheating on your wife. You could be married and you could still, do all of these crazy things. So AOC often frames issues in moral terms: human rights, justice, accountability. Those are moral positions. And that's not wrong. Like, we all have thoughts and feelings when it comes to human rights, justice, and accountability. That is very human of her, right? But critics argue she sometimes implies that because something is morally wrong, the US government can simply stop it, which is not true, right? In reality, the federal government is constrained by treaties, alliances, and basically the intelligence that they've learned over a period of time, right? So it's like when we went to war for World War I or World War II, when we invade certain countries like Venezuela, we're building intelligence realities. And as we develop, or as these different departments develop these intelligence realities, and they also are implementing constitutional limits, right? It's not based on moral terms. It's based off of treaties and alliances, right? Foreign policy decisions often involve trade-offs, not absolutes, right? I'm going to protect you, Venezuela, if I can get some of your gas for my states, for my country, right? That's not morally wrong, but it's basically, I watch your back, and this is how you help me in doing so. The Constitution does not grant Congress the power to enforce morality globally, only to legislate within defined authority. Okay, so she has a job, and her job limits her into a certain box. If she wants to be the president one day, she's going to have to understand how to get there. And you don't get there by going to places like Germany and speaking on moral terms when you haven't learned all of these other things, these treaties, these alliances, and these intelligence realities and constitutional limits. It's like she forgets that the government is based off of constitutional limits. And that is another point and reason why people get upset with her. Okay. And then we have federal responsibility versus global responsibility. You can feel how you want to feel about Greenland, and you can feel how you want to feel about Venezuela, right? But another criticism that people like the guy who made this video, the Paralegal Institute, is the implied assumption that the US government is responsible for outcomes everywhere. It has influence, and it doesn't. We can have a little bit of influence in China, but we don't make the water in China pure. That's the Chinese government. We can send them pieces of our iPhone for them to develop it, but we don't determine if a little kid makes our iPhone. That is something out of our control. Now, do we think that it's morally correct to have children working in sweatshops, allegedly? We don't know. We just think, no, it's not morally correct. But at the same time, that's out of our control. So should I go and should I speak on it on a global level? Probably not, because that would probably affect some kind of treaty in place with China that says, hey, if you're this kind of person in government, you're going to not speak on it because it doesn't actually behoove you, because we scratch each other's backs, right? In practice, influence does not equal control, and aid does not equal command, and alliance does not equal ownership. These are all little separate boxes that she seems to kind of like blur the lines on, right? The US can support, pressure, or withdraw, but it cannot fully control sovereign nations without war or occupation. That means putting boots on the ground in a place where we say we don't want child labor, to be conducted. But we don't do that, because that is, we can only do that. We only do that here because we still want to be able to have these people scratch our backs in the places where it matters, right? And critics argue that this distinction often is missing from her framing. It is always missing from her framing, okay? It is always missing from her framing. People laugh, but Space Force is an intelligence branch of the military. Yeah. And the Space Force, I laughed at it too, especially when they started approaching me for job positions. But you'd be surprised at why they want a Space Force. You know what I'm saying? You'd be surprised at what other countries are willing to do to affect the space that we don't really see, that's like past the sky and the moon that we can visibly see. You'd be surprised. So while people laugh at it, Jay Tillman, I actually don't. I'm not one of those people that laugh at it anymore, because as you read things in government and you see things, you start to understand why they have those kinds of things in place, right? But that's a subject for another day, okay? But back to AOC. There's symbolic politics versus institutional reality, AOC. So AOC is very effective at agenda setting. She wants to shape public discourse, mobilize activists, and apply moral pressure. And, that's good in the grassroots, but that can be counterproductive when you have a person like her in a government seat. That is supposed to be working on behalf of the people, not working on behalf of what she thinks is morally correct. So backlash arises when symbolic statements are interpreted as operational claims, suggesting that Congress can do more than it legally can. It cannot. Everybody is restrained to their box. And then the president, which is the executive branch that sits in the executive branch, he is the one that can confirm or deny. Okay. And this frustrates everyone that, basically civics focused voters, foreign policy professionals, and military and diplomatic analysts, they just don't. You see how that lady was sitting there with her, and she was just kind of German people, they're very stoic, but you could tell that she was thinking this lady is overreaching her limit. She is not JD Vance. And you see how when JD Vance was talking, he was very matter of fact at what you can and cannot do, versus her being all over the place. It's just silly. Okay. And all of this confusion that she kicks up, this should incense you, because she's basically misleading you all, in her state, out here trying to be speaking on a global stage. Is she's misplacing blame, and she's putting these unrealistic expectations of government power onto everyone. It confuses you as to what the federal government is actually responsible for. And so that is what we're going to talk about right now. Okay, so let me get her little stinking face off the screen so we can talk about the 1, 2, 3s of what federal government is actually responsible for, and not the moral justification as to why and what and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's get her off. Let's remove her and put me back in the middle. Here we go. Okay, so here I am, y'all. Let me put that back at the top and then come back to StreamYard. Okay, so, all right. So let's see what y'all are talking about in the chat. And I won't keep you guys too long. I know that this is not the most popular topic, like civics is pretty boring. It was pretty boring. And what do we have civics like in middle school? It was pretty boring in middle school, and it's still pretty boring, right? But it does really affect our everyday lives, the traffic laws, our children's education, anything. If you're a barber, it affects the fact that you need a state license, right, to be a barber. If you go get your nails done, like I'm going to do later or possibly tomorrow, when I go to get my nails done, I want to know that the people that are doing my nails are doing so to the best of their ability, but that they're also certified through the state and know how to keep me from getting gangrene. I want to know that, the people driving on the road next to me also have, their license and know the rules of the know the traffic rules. So even though this is extremely boring, at some point it's going to affect your life. So you're going to want to know, if a barber, gives you a haircut and he trims down your beard or whatever, and then the next day you wake up with, an inflamed face and pus and bumps all over the place. And then you find out that he's actually not certified, through the state that you're in to actually be a barber. You're going to want to know who to contact to, one, make sure this never happens to another person again. And two, you want to be able to hold him accountable. Okay. And I hope this never happens to you, but there are plenty of instances in life where things like that happen. And then you're wondering, like, who the hell do I complain to? Or where the hell do I seek justice for this? Right. So those instances are local. These are not things that are federal. So we're just going to talk about the federal things right now, right? So here we go. So number one, the federal government's main job is to handle national level issues, things that affect the entire country, not just, like I just mentioned, the barber in your county or your state, right? So they're responsible for the Navy, the Army, the Marines, and even Space Force, the way, as Jay just mentioned, they're responsible for declaring war, and that's the Congress arm of the federal government. And then there's national security and foreign threats. They're responsible for those things. If it involves protecting the country as a whole, that's federal. Okay. Sorry, Winston he wants to go outside. Sorry about that. Okay. And then two, they're responsible for foreign policy and international relations. This is another reason why in the hell is AOC out there in Germany speaking as if she is a part of the executive branch? She is not. Not only is she out there speaking as if she's a part of the executive branch, but she's speaking very negatively about our president, right? Which is kind of like counterproductive. You can have your opinions, but when you're out there speaking to other foreign countries, it just does your own country a disservice, because it doesn't look like we're on the same page. And we should totally be on the same page, because that's when we start getting into things like espionage and what do they call it? Treason, right? So foreign policy and international relations is what the federal government is responsible for. Those things are treaties with other countries, right? Diplomacy, sanctions, and foreign aid. And your mayor cannot negotiate with China, just like AOC can't negotiate with China. That's a federal lane. She can't negotiate with Greenland, and she can't negotiate with Canada. And even though she has thoughts and feelings about it, which is fine, we all have thoughts and feelings about it. It's not a good look for her to go out there and talk about it. And that's why people, if you're going to run for president one day, you might want to stop doing those kinds of things, because it works against you when you come out and say that you might be running as Kamala's running mate, because people are going to go back to these things and they're going to throw them in your face as to the reason why you shouldn't be a vice president. Okay. Currency, taxes, and the economy. Okay. The federal government prints money and it regulates the US money. Federal taxes, like your income, payroll, and corporate taxes, that's federal. Managing the national debt, that's federal. Regulating interstate commerce, that's federal. The federal government sets the rules of the economic game, not every price inside of it, right? So yeah, they can institute tariffs and all of that, but the government doesn't, the federal government is not telling you how much gas prices should be in your state. That's why everybody's state has a different price they pay for the gas that you're in. I don't know if anybody wants to look it up, but what state has the cheapest gas right now? Oh, y'all can hear Winston. Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. He's so bad. But yeah, the federal government, they can set the prices on, or not the prices, they can say what prices they're willing to pay for the barrels of gas that they get from these other countries. But it's basically your local government that is setting and regulating the prices, right? So even though they get it on the bigger global scale, when it comes down to us in Georgia, or you in Florida, or somebody in California, those are not prices that the federal government actually sets. They might be influencing it, but they're not the ones that are setting the prices. So you can't technically be mad at the president for the fact that your gas is so high. You probably need to be looking at a Governor Newsom, or a Raphael Warnock, or somebody like that. Okay. And those are local people to your state. Every state is going to have a different person to complain to. What's up, G Honda? Rosebuds and dandelions. What's up? What's up, everyone? Yeah, it says Oklahoma consistently offers the lowest state. Oh, this is a good one. Thank you so much, Jay Tillman. Jay Tillman says Oklahoma consistently offers the lowest statewide average at approximately $2.27 to $2.32 per gallon. That is amazing. That is amazing. I did not know that. So shout out to Oklahoma. We should probably be looking at Oklahoma's government to see why they're able to set gas prices so low, and what states like California and New York, Oklahoma gas. So I'm going to look that up when we get off of this call, or rather off of this live show. I'm treating this like it's a Zoom call at work. But yeah, Jay Tillman, I'm going to look that up and I'm going to put it into a community post. And what I'll do is I'll compare it to Georgia, and then you all can compare it to your states. What's up, Rev Dr. C? It's good to see you. What's up? Pull up and get some. What's up? It's good to see y'all. I hope everybody had a happy Valentine's Day. But yeah, so the federal government, they set the bigger rules, but they don't set the prices within the states. And as Jay just pointed out here in this comment that I highlighted on the stream, Oklahoma is consistently offering the lowest statewide average for gas. Okay, and that's major. That's major. That means that some of these other states that are charging $5 and $6 and $7. They probably need to reevaluate where they're spending money in other places so that they can bring the gas prices down for the people. And then we have number 4. Number 4 is immigration and citizenship. The government is responsible, or the federal government is responsible for border policy, visas, asylum, naturalization. The states can assist or not assist, like you see going on in Minnesota, but immigration law is a federal law. So the people in Minnesota, the people in Chicago, the governors, the mayors that are going against border policy, visa policy, asylum policy, and naturalization policy, they are going against the federal government. And they should get in trouble for that. Okay? The states can assist, right? They can assist. They shouldn't be able to harm, right? So a few weeks ago, when I said that the reason why Minnesota was going so batshit crazy was because the leaders, like the mayor and the governor, were doing a disservice to the people by not explaining to them that they're going too far with the way that they're handling ICE and protesting ICE, right? And now we've seen 2 people lose their lives because of their leaders not telling them that they're out of pocket and out of control. Babe, can you handle Winston for me? Sorry. Okay, I had to call my husband and handle the dog because he's just going crazy. Okay. So we talked about immigration, citizenship, and now we're going to talk about federal laws and civil rights. This is a big one that we all are very passionate about, that we all feel some type of way when we see certain things happening, like people getting pew-pewed and losing their lives in Minnesota, right? What are the federal laws and civil rights? Those are federal, right? And that they're constitutional rights. Anti-discrimination laws, that's a federal thing. Voting rights, that's a federal thing. And then federal criminal law, that is also federal. When rights are violated at scale, the federal government steps in. You can't say, I think there was a guy in New Jersey, I think it is a sheriff or I don't know if he was a mayor. I don't want to misspeak, but I think it was in New Jersey where they wanted to have a white county only. And so he was trying to like arrest any Black person that was on the road and harass them and stop them from being able to buy property within this certain state or within this certain county in New Jersey. That is egregious. And you don't get to do that because when you start to do things that affect a large group of people, then the federal government has to come in because that's at scale. You know, the federal government should step in and say, hey, what the hell are you doing? This violates people's constitutional rights. And there's anti-discrimination laws that say we don't have sundown towns anymore. Not that we don't, but we shouldn't be afraid to say this is happening and that this needs to stop. I think a lot of truckers would confirm that there are places that they do not want to be after a certain time in certain places because of the color of their skin, which is really bad and needs to stop. But that would be a federal government responsibility. Okay. So yeah, basically we need to start understanding that the federal government is responsible for the bigger portion of the pie to make sure that rules and governance is had amongst all of the states, that there's a cohesion of what is legal and what is illegal. And that this is where people get it confused. Local schools, the federal government can offer funding and set board protections, but it does not write the curriculum, it does not hire your teachers, and it does not decide the school calendar. What's up, Lee Turner? I see you. Happy Sunday, sir. I hope you had a happy Valentine's Day. It does not those things that it does not do, like write the curriculum, hire teachers, or decide school calendars, that's all state government. That's state local government. So when you want to complain about those things, I shouldn't ever hear you out of your mouth say that is the president's fault or the vice president's fault. No, that is the people's fault in your county, and it's up to you to figure out who those people are. And once you figure out who those people are, you need to ask yourself, am I accountable for this? Did I vote for this person? Is this person doing these messed up things to the school calendar? And, there was two ladies in Miami, and I think it's Dade County. They're going to jail. They have to do like 18 to 22 months in jail because they were stealing money from the school board. Okay, money that was supposed to go to teachers, to supplies, to the students. They were stealing it, like up to like $3 million, I think. I think I'll play that. I think I'll use that on the next show for civics class. We'll talk about the Miami-Dade County ladies. There are two ladies. There's a Black lady and a white lady. They're both, one is like 65 and the other one is 88 or 82 or something like that. And the older one, who is the Black lady, they're trying to be able to get her to serve her sentence at home because she's very old. But where did all the freaking money go? Where did the money go that they were stealing? This is another thing we have to really pay attention to. When we have these people on the board that are out of work, they don't have any job outside of the board that they're on. Why is that? It's weird to me that you would have a board where certain members are never voted off the board. They're never off. It's always the same people. Like we just had this issue with my HOA. Once you've been a part of our HOA board for 10 years, but you don't live in this county, you don't live in this neighborhood, you don't work outside of being on the board of my HOA, why are you here? You're here to steal money. Because nothing is changing. Matter of fact, you're taking things away from our HOA. Like our HOA closed down a pool. How do you close a pool down in part of the neighborhood, but all of a sudden our fees increase, but we don't see new things happening, like more sidewalks, a bicycle lane, speed bumps? Like why aren't we seeing any of those things, but you still want to keep being a member of the board, but you aren't doing anything but taking things away and making us pay more money? No, we're going to get your ass off of the board. We're going to put fresh people in, fresh eyes to see, people that are part of the community, that want to see their community get better. Because when you're not invested, when you don't live in Dade County and you don't have grandchildren that go to the school, then you're more likely to do fraud, to me, in my eyes, right? Because why else are you there? For some kickbacks, so to speak. But I'll mention those ladies in another episode. But it was very interesting that they're trying to give them lighter sentences in prison because of how old they are, when they have been doing this since they were in their early 50s. I don't give a damn. You do the crime, you need to do the time. And thank you so much, 30K UVL, for gifting of Smell the Roses membership. If you just got a membership from 30K, please say thank you. Okay, let's be polite and appreciative. He did not have to do that. And that really helps my garden grow. And if you are a member of the channel, please don't let your membership run out. It means a lot. It helps me with getting better. Like I said, more equipment, applying more time and more thoughtfulness to what we talk about here on the channel. It can't just always be about salacious topics like today. Sometimes we need to learn what we need to learn and move on. Okay. But I'm getting close to an hour. I didn't want to keep y'all very long today. I got to wash clothes, and I know y'all got things y'all are doing, probably cleaning up from Valentine's Day last night. But anyway, policing and crime mostly. Police departments are local. Okay. I talked to you about the crazy sheriff that I work for, Sheriff Sidney Dorsey. Crazy. He pow-powed his opponent that ended up winning in our local county election, right? So police departments are local, they're not federal. Sheriffs are county, right? And state police handle statewide issues. The FBI does not patrol your neighborhood. It does not patrol your police on the highway, okay? That is all local. All right. So roads, zoning, and local infrastructure. Yes, the federal government does fund highways, but the potholes, the traffic lights, what else? Like the MARTA here in Atlanta, we have the MARTA system, which is our buses and our trains that take us around the city. And then there's zoning laws, like how many liquor stores can be on a street, or how far away they need to be from each other. Those kind of zoning laws, that's all your local government. That's city and state leadership. That is not the federal government. So you shouldn't be complaining to the federal government about zoning laws, potholes, traffic lights, or public transit decisions, right? So don't do that. We just talked about gas prices and grocery prices. This one hurts people's feelings because we just had this issue with the SNAP food benefit program, which is federally mandated. That is a federal government thing. Your SNAP benefits, that comes from the federal government. But gas prices, rent prices, and grocery costs, those are not set directly by the federal government. Those are set by markets, global supply chains, and corporations. Those are the people that end up having you pay those higher gas prices, right? What's happening in New York with the rent pricing? That's the market. The government can influence the market, but it doesn't control the prices that are actually set. Okay. So when I do the comparison later on with Oklahoma and gas, I'm going to also look up what their, what is their average cost for rent to see if that is also lower than other states here in the US. Because if that's the case, man, maybe all of us need to be moving out to to Oklahoma, because I know here in Atlanta things are skyrocketing. Okay, so why is it confusing, or why is it dangerous that we, the people who have the power in our votes, why is it dangerous that there's confusion amongst us as to who we blame for what? Okay. And when people don't know who does what, the wrong officials get blamed. And thank you, G Honda. He says, yes, Rose, I am recovering from Valentine's night. But what do you think of Trump pardoning 5 ex-NFL players for their heinous crimes? I don't know. Let me put this up here. Wait, let me show it. Okay. Thank you for your donation today, G Honda. I don't know, y'all. Somebody drop a link, G Honda, so I can pull it up and read it. the New York example is more complex right now. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is complex, but y'all got homeless people dying. Y'all got all these government programs that are about to run out because y'all just spending money left, right, and center on migrants and migrant programs. So yeah, I'm New York is a cluster F of problems. New York manages the most money out of any of the states when it comes to local government. It's like billions and billions and billions of dollars, which is really sad. But Jihanda, I don't know who he pardoned. I have to look into that. I have to look into that, Jihanda. Please drop the link. What did they do? Did they like pow people, or did they grape somebody? Like, what happened? Now I want to know what happened. And I can talk about it on my Mondays live. When I go live tomorrow at 9, I'll talk about it. Let's see. Let's take a break right quick. Let's see what Jihanda is talking about. Let me not show this, hide it, but okay, hold on, y'all. Let me see what Jihan is talking about. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, okay. Hold on. All right. So it says President Trump pardons Hall of Famer Joe Klecko and 4 other former NFL players. And it says President Donald Trump, Joe Klecko, Nate Newton, Jamal Lewis, Travis Henry, and the late Bill Cannon on Thursday, according to the White House pardon czar Alice Marie Johnson. As football reminds us, excellence is built on grit, grace, and courage to rise again. So is our nation. Johnson posted, blah, blah, blah. Grateful for POTUS for his continued commitment to second chances. Mercy changes lives. So Klecko, who is 72, a member of the New York Jets, famed New York Sack Exchange defensive line, was convicted in 1993 and sentenced to 3 months in prison on charges related to bankruptcy fraud tied to a business venture following his Hall of Fame career. The legal issue did not involve violence, but stemmed from financial misconduct during a difficult post-football transition in which he lied about false car insurance claims. On the field, Klecko had 20.5 sacks in 1981 season, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what about the Newton guy? The Newton guy, 64, an offensive lineman who helped anchor 3 Super Bowl championships with the Cowboys, was arrested for drug-related offenses multiple times in the 1990s, including possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. The arrest came during and career and overshadowed portions of his legacy. Newton was a cornerstone. Okay, so he was a black guy. Okay, so he pardoned a black guy. Joe Klecko, I think, was white. This guy was black. Okay. Jamal Lewis, 46, one of the league's most powerful running backs during his prime, pled guilty in 2005 for using a cell phone to facilitate a drug transaction tied to a border a broader federal investigation. He served time in prison during 2007 offseason, then returned to the NFL. Lewis rushed for 2,066 yards in 2003 with the Baltimore Ravens, the third highest single season total in league history. In the 2000 season, he won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, and the one-time All-Pro, played 9 seasons in the league. Okay. Henry, 47, who rushed for more than 1,000 yards in 3 different seasons, was sentenced in 2009 to 3 years in prison on federal schmocaine trafficking charges after authorities linked him to financing and distributing large quantities of the drug. His legal troubles ended a 7-year career, once marked by consistent production during the early to mid 2000s. Henry, a one-time Pro Bowler, played for the Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans, and Denver Broncos. Oh my goodness. Okay, so and then the last one is Bill Cannon. Let's see what he did, because I was thinking that these might be like violent crimes, but so far they're all kind of they're not violent. So let's see if this one is violent. Sorry. G Honda piqued my interest, and now we're here, guys. So, and the federal government is responsible for these pardons. So it does kind of align with what we're talking about. Okay, so Cannon, a 1959 Heisman Trophy winner with LSU, pled guilty in 1983 to his role in a large-scale counterfeiting operation involving millions of dollars in fake currency. He served 3 years in federal prison before later becoming a dentist. Cannon, who played halfback, remains one of college football's most iconic players and later played in the AFL and NFL, where he was a 2-time All-Pro during his 11-year career. Wow, these guys had really long, it seems like, careers. I mean, his Halloween punt return against Ole Miss is one of the most famous plays in college football history. Cannon, who was enshrined in the College Football Hall of Fame in 2008, died in 2018 at the age of 80. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with him pardoning these guys. They did their time, right? They did their time. They didn't harm, they didn't grape or pow anyone, offing them. It's like, let them have their dignity back. I mean, it's been over 30 years. I mean, 83, 2000. I was born in 81. Now, the counterfeiting is wild. Counterfeiting money is wild as hell, But, I mean, if you do your time, I feel like, I don't see this as being egregious, you guys. Now, there are players that I feel should be doing time for some egregious things that they did, but they weren't harmful. Like, they didn't harm people around them. They were like on drugs themselves. They were using counterfeit money. I guess the counterfeit money is harming people around you. But again, they did their time. So why not pardon them? I feel like if you're going to pardon anybody, these 5 people would be the best candidates to do so. I mean, listen, football is the American sport now, right? I guess, is it football or baseball? So if you're going to do something as president to earn cookies, or earn some brownie points from your constituents, and men are always notoriously left out of, the goodies that everybody, like women and children, seem to get every time. I feel like these 5 guys were the best candidates to pardon. Their drug problems were personal. They did their time. I'm sure they did their community service and all of that. I just think that it's sad that you can have such long-standing careers in the NFL, and then when you get out of the NFL, you have to resort to doing these kinds of things to make money. I feel like the NFL should give these guys jobs within the organizations that they do well in, a $50,000 job, a $60,000 job, so that they can still kind of have dignity and have support for themselves, because they leave with injuries. You spend all that time in the league. I mean, the one became a dentist, kudos to him. But depending on your position, maybe you're a little, you're cognitively slow because you took a lot of hits. Maybe, you're slow in your physical stature because you've been hit so many times, and maybe you've had so many injuries to your knees or your back. So I feel like these guys would be great commentators for the radio, especially if they weren't getting paid as much as the average football player is getting paid now. So thanks for derailing my show, G Honda. but I guess it was good that you did so, because that showed the power of the executive branch, that the executive branch has the power to pardon these people. And 2 of the men have now since passed away, but I'm sure it feels good to their families that, they have their good names back. Oh, it's only if they played a certain amount of years they get, it's only if they played a certain amount of years they can get paid. Got it. Dang, yeah. The NFL makes too much money for these guys to have to do that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. You should be able to employ them. Not that it's going to stop all of them from making bad decisions like doing drugs or trying to sell drugs or trying to use counterfeit money, but at least you can say that you tried, Hey, Retrograde Beats. Happy Sunday to you too. Yeah, I heard about that guy who became a doctor. Yeah, good for him. Good for him. Pooh Man. Yeah, pretty amazing. That was an amazing story. He made good grades in college because he knew, this NFL career is going to be temporary. I need to be able to do something for the rest of my life. Yeah. Yeah. But I think I was talking about, I don't take good notes when I'm talking to y'all. I don't scratch off what I'm supposed to scratch off. G Honda, you mess me up, Stillmatic Network. Hey, Tehilnism, how are you? Happy Sunday to you, girlie. I hope you had a lovely Valentine's Day. I'm pretty sure you felt lots of love, and you probably gave lots of love too. So, okay, were we talking about confusion? Yeah. So when you don't know who to yell at, when you don't know what the hell is going on in your local government, or you tend to place blame on the president when you really should be placing blame on your congressman, on your House of Representative person. So know who to yell at, okay? Politicians freaking love when we don't know who the hell to yell at, because confusion equals power to these people. If you think the president controls your rent, you'll never fucking put pressure on the person that actually controls your rent, which is your city council. Okay. So in New York, y'all got a rent problem. Y'all need to be sending letters to your city council. Hey, look, we're not going to vote for you, or we're going to vote you out the next time we get the opportunity to do so, because y'all are full of shit. That's what it needs to be. Don't be yelling at the president that your food prices or your rent prices are too high. That is not his problem. That is your local government's problem, okay? So to wrap this up, because I was only supposed to be here an hour and got derailed by G Honda, okay? The federal government is the referee. They are not the player. Yeah, we're going to talk some more about Mondani. We're going to talk about him on Monday, G Honda. I got something for him. He getting on my nerves, okay? He is getting on my nerves. And I mean, the people that are passing away on his watch is just very concerning. Very concerning. I get it. You want to let people have the power to choose, but at the same time, as a leader, you know, as a restaurant owner, I know that a lot of the people that are living on the street, you know, they're mentally handicapped. And if I am the mayor of a city, then I need to be able to speak for them. You guys can't be out here in like 5-degree weather. You know, I know that this is probably going to put them into some kind of mental anguish, because if they're going to be constrained in maybe a jail or maybe a gym, and you know, the public health workers have to work with these people while the temperatures are very low, I'm pretty sure it's going to stress them out. But these are the jobs that they signed up for. So let's do our jobs. Let's keep these people alive. And once it's warm outside again, of course, let them go back and sleep on the sidewalk. But until then, I cannot let these people pass away on my watch. For about 2018 to 19 people have passed away because it's so cold in New York. He won't get them off the streets. I mean, that hurts my heart. That hurts my heart. Like, they don't know what they don't know. They don't understand what they don't understand because they're mentally handicapped. You know, they don't know. I mean, as some of the people that they were interviewing, it was very clear to tell that they are special mental cases. And I'm not saying this to be rude. I'm saying that they don't understand the danger that they're putting themselves in. And so since they don't understand the dangers that they're putting themselves in, I have to step in, and I would have to feel like I need to take care of them. And he just seems to just be very flippant with that responsibility, which I don't understand. I would take the former Adams. I would take his approach and probably lean on him for advice. You know, not that I agree with everything that man did, the Adams man, but I don't think we ever heard of anybody passing away while he was the mayor from living on the street when it was that cold outside. I mean, that's just one thing that you can get right, whether you like them or not. But the federal government, like I said, is the referee, not the player. It sets the rules, it protects rights, it defends the nation, and it handles international affairs. But your daily quality life, that's mostly state government. That's your county government. That's your city government. You know, the next time something goes wrong, ask, is this federal or local? You know, what is bothering you and the place that you live? Right. And you need to ask yourself, is it state government? Is it local government? Is it federal government? Right. I don't know. Do y'all live in a county versus a city? You know, I live in a county. I don't live in the city anymore. When I lived in the city, I had the city council members, and then there was a council member that I could complain to. His name was Kwanzaa Hall. Couldn't stand him. But when things went wrong, we were emailing that man, we were calling that man, and we were going down to City Hall to complain about that man. Okay. And now where I live, which is a county, if there hasn't been anything I needed to complain about. I just mentioned my HOA. That's within the county, but that's a separate entity, but I treat it the same way, right? There was a board that we had. We ended up using the funds that we pay into our HOA to get an attorney and get that board clean and start new, you know? So you really got to do the legwork when it comes to the things that matter to you. And you have to know and empower yourself who to go to when you have these issues, right? Because clarity is power and power is accountability. And that's why we pause to smell the roses. Okay. Don't let these people drive you crazy. You know, what the federal government controls is important, but what your local government controls is just as important. And why people blame the president for things he doesn't control is out of pure ignorance. And that's because of the ignorance that you choose. You choose to be ignorant. You choose not to empower yourself with the knowledge you need to be able to eloquently affect change through the proper channels. And that's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I hope that this has been a little helpful to you guys. The AOC video, you know, like the AOC video is just crazy to me. Like she is just, she is wild. Like I can't, for the life of me, I don't understand. Like, you know, y'all say she's going to be voting or she's going to be running for president. Before we get out of here, let me look up that flyer that y'all were talking about with her and Kamala. AOC and and Kamala 2028, because I didn't see that, and I know they better not be trying to run together. What? Hold on, let me see this. Images. Let me see if I can see what. Oh. Well, I don't see. They said let me show y'all this. Hold on. let me show y'all this. Okay, hold on. Let me All right, hold on. Let me share the screen. Stop this screen and share this one. Are y'all going for this? Like, I don't know. Are y'all going for this right here? Is this what y'all doing? This what y'all want to do? Let's see what this says. Let's read it. Let's see if it'll let me read it. I switched my thing over to Yahoo and I hate it, but I don't know how to switch it back to Google. Okay. It says, Republicans are getting excited by an unlikely Democratic presidential ticket in 2028. Progressive Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez paired with former Vice President Kamala Harris. Yes, commented Senator Mike Lee, a Republican out of Utah. Please, Democrats, do this. The murmurs of the supposed and highly premature ticket are predominantly circulating among right-wingers online. The idea is exciting conservatives, most of whom view the lineup as a surefire guarantee that Republicans would win again. The again is not there, but you just know that's what they're thinking. Again. My Christmas wishes coming true, LOL, joked one person. Fantastic, remarked another account named MAGA Force. Nice of them to concede so early, quipped someone else. Some left-wingers online have previously floated Ocasio-Cortez, who just reached the minimum age for president last year, but none appear to be pushing a Harris-AOC pairing. The murmurs on the right appear to originate from a handful of viral posts that claim unnamed sources have leaked that Democrats are preparing for a Harris-AOC ticket. None of those posts link to any outside source, and no media outlets have independently reported on the ticket possibility. However, the two political figures have separately been mentioned as possible candidates for 2028. A Guardian report from December stated that Democratic Party aides had begun eyeing another presidential bid by Harris, though Harris herself has not indicated she'd want to do a do-over. Or want a do-over. Currently, Harris has been floated as a potential top candidate to run for governor in California. If she think them people in California are gonna vote for her for governor after the Newsom guy, after what she did before when she was the attorney general, girl, stop. But she has remained tight-lipped about that possibility as well. Yeah, probably because they're doing polls and the polls are showing that she don't got the steam to do it amongst the people. The people are done, okay? And with Trump getting out all of these illegals, there will be nobody that she can dupe or trick to vote for her. Anyway, Ocasio-Cortez, for her part, has likewise given no indication that she would want to run for president in 2028. Maybe the fact that she's going to speak internationally is her practicing being able to run next to a Kamala Harris. Listen, if you can't go and speak on simple things in a small room of people like we just witnessed in the beginning of my live show tonight, there is no way she's going to be able to go around this entire country and gin people up for votes speaking like this. I mean, because they're going to have to eventually debate the other candidate. And it's just going to be too easy for the Republicans to squash her like a bug when it comes to foreign policy. When it comes to national policy, they're going to squash her like a bug because the only thing that she can ever focus about are the things that are just so near and dear to her heart and morality. Like, there's no morality in politics. I mean, oh my God. Oh my God. Though she's frequently cited as a possible primary candidate. Wow. Early Democratic primary polling shows Harris as a strong front runner for 2028, despite her loss to Trump in 2024. An Echelon Insight survey, I love surveys, conducted February 10th through 13th found 36% of Democrats would prefer Harris in the primary, followed by 10% choosing former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg and 9% choosing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. If y'all don't get out of here, when was this survey conducted? This year? February 10th through the 13th, people have the nerve to vote for Tim Walz with his poor leadership in Minnesota as it is, with ICE. Only 5% of those surveyed said they'd pick Ocasio-Cortez in the primary. Nonetheless, the idea of Ocasio-Cortez and Harris teaming up to run in 2028 is all some Republicans could ever dream of. Please put Kamala or AOC up for 2028 and make all of our dreams of a landslide victory come true, commented one person. That's the best of the best decisions they've ever made, sarcastically commended someone else. Zero competition is great, quipped someone else. Congratulations, JD Vance, on your election. Wow. 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 That is wild. So shout out to you, Catherine Huggins, for putting together this this article for us today on Smell the Roses. Kudos to you, ma'am. I had no idea that this was something really serious going on, that people were really going to put these two together. Gross. Wow. So these are the numbers here. 28% for Kamala, 21%. I mean, girl, I can't do it. And here they go. Here goes Kamala, Buttigieg, AOC, Gavin Newsom. I mean, you guys, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We need a new batch of people in government. I'm so sick of them touting out these same names and same losers over and over and over again. I am so sick of Kamala. They better not bring her allegedly drunk ass out here. I don't want to see it. Hold on. DeAndre, you sent me a link. Hold on. Let me see if I can. That's the thing. I can't it's so hard for me to, let's see. I don't want to delete you or ban you. Let me go to my page. Hold on, y'all. Hold on 1 second. Let me go to my own, because I can't grab it from the StreamYard. I have to grab it from my live stream on my channel, DeAndre. Hold on 1 second. It was easy for me to pull up what Honda was talking about because I could easily. Hold on. Let me pause that. All right, DeAndre. I'm in my own on my own show. Oh my God. Hold on, y'all. Let me show y'all what DeAndre just sent me. Thank you, DeAndre. Thank you. What I was showing y'all was way too professional. It was way too professional to what DeAndre was talking about. Hold on. Was it? Hold on. Damn, I just lost it. Where did it go? Let me go back. Let me go here. Okay, so it was the Google results. Okay, hold on. Let me let me go back to the Google. Here we go, y'all. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. Look, if they put this out there, it ain't no way in hell men are gonna go for this. You think men are gonna go for this? A wife beater? Kamala with this girl with her sexy Valentine's disheveled hair and a wife beater. Y'all, this what they doing? I'm so sick of Kamala in them damn suits. She think that this make her look so professional and so smart, and it doesn't. Y'all, stop this right now. DeAndre, you are so good. I love you, sir. I love you. Oh my God. I wish I had that drop from Go Cree G Honda, that mama. You guys, are we going for this? Lots of haters. Come on now. Don't be like that going forward, PS34. Don't be like that. What have these women done that they deserve to be in the executive branch? You want these two women to decide whether we go to war with Russia or China? Come on. It's going to be a whole bunch of I feel and my feelings, and this is morally wrong. They're not going to be listening to the Constitution. They don't listen to the Constitution now. Come on, y'all. I mean, I'm not saying that these women aren't smart or that they're not capable, of some things. But the president of the United States, if they don't even have the support in the states that they're in. Excuse me, bless me, I'm so sorry. They don't even have the support of this, like Kamala, nobody supports her in California for the most part, and you want to give her control of all of the states? I can see if people in California really love Kamala, and she did such good work in California, and she did such great work as a vice president while she was standing up next to Joe Biden. If you can name me 3 wonderful things she did when she was the vice president, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You say lots of men take the job who are incompetent. Okay, I would say Bush number 2 was incompetent. I've only been voting since 2000. Like what didn't happen? We didn't go to war when Obama was president, right? He did a whole bunch of, he was an attorney. But in Obama's defense, when I say name some things, Obama did amazing things in Chicago. He did. People there, like I have mentors of mine who worked with him in Chicago. They did a lot of amazing things in Chicago, or he did a lot of amazing things in Chicago as he was in law school, as he was coming up through the ranks. Maybe Bill Clinton was a bit incompetent too. He was just like a lover boy in the president in the executive office, getting his rocks off constantly. But I don't know, y'all. Like, I just think it's an incompetent man still has a level of being rational and being more methodical and logical than an incompetent woman that just goes off of her feelings all the time. Stephen James. HQ would love you. You mean HQ would love this this flyer that we see? Y'all gotta leave HQ alone. Leave her out of this. Leave her out of this. Oh my God. G Honda, she's 36. That don't mean that. Is she married? Is AOC married? Do y'all know if she's married or not? Yeah, the flyer. Okay. He started Libya, Syria, and Yemen. So what was that? Obama started wars there? Is that what you're saying, Kaiser Sose? Okay, so listen, y'all educate me. No, not was HQ married. I'm talking about AOC. No, I don't. No, HQ was married, but her husband passed away. Machine. Her husband passed away. She was married, I think, for like 30 plus years, and then her husband passed away. I used to do a panel with her every weekend, so I got to know her quite a bit through the panel on SBC Nation and Cart Before the Horse. Her husband passed on, but she didn't leave him. But y'all are teaching me. So Kenneth says we were in a Great Depression because of Bush. Yeah, I remember my parents like talking about how bad of a president he was. And Obama got the United States out of that and had the economy growing. Okay, I do remember things being better under Obama. But then I do remember that there were things that he, there were things on his agenda that just didn't serve a lot of us, which I guess we're never going to get somebody that does enough for all, like the the Libiquita community, the LGBTQ community. He did a lot for them. A lot of Black people felt like, you know, he could have done more and didn't. But okay. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you all being thoughtful and stretching my education in politics. I mean, the reason why I call this a civics one-on-one is because I'm not equipped to be a political commentator. I do work in federal government, but you know, I don't, you know, politics is not really my thing, but I do know that it's important for all of us to understand how civics in our communities work, you know, regardless to what you're, you know, whether you're left or right, it would behoove you to know your local, state, and federal government to understand it better. So that's why I call this Power in Petals is like a civics one-on-one. It's not, I'm not leaning, I don't want y'all to lean right or left. I voted green. I voted for that Elizabeth Warren lady. And the more I see her lately, the more I'm like, oh my God, I did that. I actually did that. My husband voted Trump, but I could not vote Kamala, and I could not vote Trump, you know, and I could not vote. So that lady was on the ticket, and I gave my vote to her. And I'm being forthright and honest with you guys about that. If you don't believe me, I can post it on my community tab because my son wanted to see who I voted for. So I took a picture of my ballot for him. Richie-ish says, damn, AOC, my vote ain't the only thing turning blue in 2028. Sir, thanks for these streams. I enjoy the weak authority. The weak authority one form a few weeks ago. I enjoy the weak authority one from a few weeks ago. Okay, the weak authority. Okay. All right, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if y'all are dragging me or complimenting me, but I appreciate the $5 super chat and the opening statement where you're like, damn, AOC, my vote ain't the only thing turning blue in 2028. That is so funny. I think it's a sexy picture, you know, it's definitely sex pottish, you know, like, hey, but like, no, you guys, we can't go for that. We don't need any more sex in the White House. We've had enough of that with Bill Clinton. Okay, the White House needs to be pure and sanctified. Okay. And then let's see. Queen She Bat C says, back in the day, we never spoke too much about who we voted for. We just voted. That's a real problem. Yeah, I don't have a problem. You know, I don't tell people at work who I voted for because I work for the federal government and I work with a lot of, we call them politicals. These are people that were appointed by President Trump to work with us. So we don't really talk about this at work. I wouldn't talk about politics, religion, or like baby deletions at work, unless it involved like a public health issue, which would be like the baby deletions part. But we would only talk about the data and the statistics that come from the scientists and the researchers that actually go out into the field and research these things. But I don't have a problem with telling y'all who I voted for or not. I feel like if I'm honest with you all, you guys can be honest with me, and then we can have a honest discussion as to why we see things one way or the other. But without transparency, there's no, you don't really get, how do you really get to know your neighbors? If you don't know like how they voted and what things like move them one way or the other, like how do you know how to bond with someone? I need to know what's important to you. So I want y'all to know what's important to me. I like that Elizabeth Warren was, she seemed fiscally responsible to me. I've done a lot to educate myself about money because I have made a lot of bad choices with my money growing up. Now that I'm more, financially responsible, I felt like, and now being that I'm more financially responsible, I'm a bit more conservative in my spending. So that is important to me, that we would have a president that just wouldn't put us in a whole bunch of debt, and that is educated about the debt, that could possibly help me, with getting my student loans down, or, like those are the kinds of things that are important to me because I have a postgraduate degree. I have some student loan debt, I didn't know that Elizabeth Warren doesn't believe in reparations. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But I did say before I started talking about her that as of lately, I've been like scratching my head as to, wow, I can't believe I did that. But we always have a bit of buyer's remorse after you've done the voting, right? There's always a bit of like, damn, should I have done that? Yeah, no Neiman Marcus. Exactly. No more Neiman Marcus. You're right about that. Yeah, Neiman Marcus has messed me up a few times. I guess so. You don't need to know my medical records, but I don't see the problem in sharing who I voted for. I'm not scared to have those conversations. But to each its own. Like, I appreciate all of y'all. Like, yeah. No, I didn't see the Melania movie, but I think I might watch it after I get off of this stream with y'all. I'll go check it out because it was mentioned in a meeting that we had on Friday before I left work. And yeah, I think I might go and take a look at that so I can speak on it the next time it's mentioned. But the question was, can somebody who, I guess when there's a documentary, like, if there's a documentary about me, do I get to write the documentary? Is it a documentary if I like write it and produce it and things like that? I don't know. That was the question that someone asked in the meeting on Friday. Oh my God. So wait a minute, Queen Batsy. You're saying Elizabeth lied about being Native and got the benefits for that? So she's a $5 Indian? Stop it. Are you serious? She's a $5 Indian and she doesn't agree with reparations? That is an oxymoron. Wow. Oh my God, that is crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe that. So she's a $5 Indian and she doesn't agree with reparations. I don't see why people can't agree with reparations. I don't see why people can't agree with that. If you benefit from slavery today, why would you Why would you be against reparations for people? It's just righting a wrong that happened during your country's history. It has nothing to do with you other than the fact that you benefit from it because you're a part of the class that was involved in the treachery. I mean, you can't deny that the systems in place today benefit a certain group of people, and that a certain group of people mostly are disenfranchised by it. So to me, agreeing with reparations would just be able to take that off the table. Look, y'all got y'all reparations, so now y'all can't say this shit is unfair anymore. And why you wouldn't want to go along with that is just weird to me. You don't try to figure out tax code, and you don't try to figure out any other kinds of different Title 9s and Title 45s in the government. You don't even know what a Title 9 and a Title 45 is in the government, but you don't try to get to know it. You don't try to get to understand it, but you would want to understand the title reparations. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. If you're prejudiced, just say so. If you're prejudiced, just say so. Yeah. I mean, listen, again, to the people that are saying that it's impossible to figure out, they figured it out for the Japanese, and they figured it out for the people with the small hats. They figured it out for all of them. So they can figure it out for Black people that were here, whose families were enslaved, who can prove that their families were on these plantations or that were enslaved by, yeah. If I can prove that my family was enslaved, then why don't you have to give me some money for that? Why should that free labor? Why should my family building 80% of this country's wealth go unnoticed and unappreciated? Why? Oh, no, that's entirely true. That's entirely true. 80% of this country's wealth was built off of slavery. Period. And everybody today, me and you, Kaiser Sose, benefit from all of that unpaid labor. So there is no way for you to slice this any other kind of way. Those are just the facts. Those are the facts. 80% of this country's wealth was built off of free labor that was not done by people that were not in the underclass that was set by this country's government. So this country's government should have to right their wrong. And that is just how we see it over here on Smell the Roses. Now, I would love to have this conversation another day. I said I would be here for 1 hour, and here we are, 1 hour and 47 minutes. I got to wash clothes and get ready for tomorrow. But yeah, to this day, 100, exactly, to this day, people benefit to this day. Now, this is a crazy picture. Funny, haha. That is a crazy picture. Yeah, small hats. Hey, look, I don't know why we don't have our reparations, but if we would have got that 40 acres and a mule, we wouldn't have had to have this conversation now, would we? Imagine what this country would have looked like if if everybody that contributed to the free labor would have got their 40 acres and a mule, what this country would look like today. We wouldn't be having this conversation because there would be no need to. And that's why they don't want y'all to have y'all reparations, or us to have the reparations. They don't want us to have the reparations because it would be like giving us 40 acres and a mule. That's what it is. That's what it is. Because once you give it to us, then that's a leg up that they can't afford. They feel like it's a leg up they can't afford. Then that unlocks their locked in supremacy. That's how I see it, guys. That's how I see it. That's just like, I mean, yeah, nobody ever questioned the Japanese reparations or the Mexican reparations, or nobody ever brings that up. No, why don't y'all bring that up? Yeah, even slave owners got reparations for letting go of their slaves, but the slaves themselves got nothing but Jim Crow and redlining and sundown towns. Like, let's stop it. And we're not even going to talk about any of the Black people that own slaves, because we're not even going to talk about that. That's a straw man argument. You can have that discussion on another channel. But I wanted to keep this a light discussion today about civics. I love y'all, whatever your political left, right, you want reparations or not, it's fine. You want to be a bigot all your life, that's fine. It's not going to stop anybody from progressing in life. You know, eventually the old guard will change and things will change with it. You know, the old guard is changing. Imagine that this is the election poster that we're looking at right now for 2028. Could you imagine? Have you ever seen an election poster like this? No. That's changing. That would be a very big change. I mean, some of this stuff that y'all are saying in the chat is just wild, wild, wild. More whites were slaves after American slavery was abolished. No. More whites were poor and didn't advance themselves the way they should have with their good privilege. Not everybody is going to be a lawyer, a doctor, a dentist, a hedge fund investor. You know, that's your right not to do those things. Just because you're poor doesn't mean that just because you're poor and lazy doesn't mean that you were a slave, you know, because you had to go and work as an indentured servant. That was your right to do so. Yeah, it's in the vertical. It's okay. We're about to end the stream. It's always the vertical that gives us problems. It's always the vertical, and it's okay, because actually there was a lot that came out of the vertical today that I actually appreciated. Listen, Pooh Man, stop it. Pooh Man, if you Pooh Man, no. I think it might be AOC and Jasmine Crockett. If it's Pooh Man, if it's AOC and Jasmine Crockett, we are cooked. We are cooked. They might as well just like open all the borders. Like, oh my God, Russia is going to have a field day. Okay. Oh my God. I don't know, Project Leroy. I don't know. Reparations is a very touchy topic for people. They don't like for us to talk about reparations, but it's not going to stop anything. It's not going to stop anything. Pooh Man, yeah, you're on punishment today. You're on punishment today. Now, if I see Jasmine Crockett and AOC taking pictures like this, I am done. I am done. You know what? I might make that AI image and show that tomorrow night in the stream. Steven, you and Pooh Man, y'all crazy. But I love y'all. It was cool talking with y'all today about, what the federal government is actually responsible for. The federal government would be responsible. So it would not be something coming out of your local government. So for a lot of you, there's nothing for you to worry about. Nothing in your life would change if Black people got reparations. So I don't know why people would be against it. It's not going to come out of your taxes. It's not going to affect anything that goes on in your normal life. It's just correcting a wrong that happened and reestablishing, No, I'm not. I didn't call it. Did I call anybody a bigot today? I don't think I called you a bigot. I'll rewind it, but I never called you a bigot. I said I don't understand why you guys don't agree with reparations. But that's a projection. That's a projection. Thinking that I called you a bigot. It does look like a magazine cover, DeAndre. It does. I mean, it's actually really cute. It's actually really cute. Kamala loves it. Yeah, it would put a lot of money in their pockets. Right? We'd make them a lot of money because we'd be investing more on Wall Street, right? We'd be calling up there saying, hey, I want to buy some this. I want to buy some that. I want to do this. I want to do that. So, yeah, it would affect them by putting money in their pocket, but they don't see it like that. And then eventually we wouldn't have to spend money with them anymore. Maybe that's why they worried about it. Maybe that's why. How about the next civics class? I spend 1 hour talking about the stuff, and then the next hour, you guys can come up and we'll do it like Jesse Lee Peterson does it. We'll do one person at a time. Come up, say their piece. We talk about it for a couple of minutes, or just Jesse Lee or Jason Black, how he does it, like one at a time. That way we don't get into arguments and fights. The conversation will move forward and we can all still have the conversation, but it be like more strategic and separated out, right? So we can do 10 callers and everybody will get like 5 minutes to come on, say their piece, get the conversation going, get some feedback from the people in the chat, and then we move on to the next caller. Do y'all think that would be a better way to do civics class? Y'all like that? Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So next weekend, since I do these on the weekend and I do them in the afternoon, I'll spend like the first 45 minutes or whatever saying my piece on the matter, getting the conversation started. Then I'll open the panel and we'll call everybody up, but we'll do it one at a time. So there's no arguing and no fighting, like what happens on most panels when we are all up there at the same time. Is that cool? Okay. I love it. Good. All right. So that's what we'll do next weekend. I'll post the thumbnail tomorrow. And then y'all will have the topic. Y'all can get ready with that, get your talking points together from Monday to Saturday. Then on Saturday, I'll come up, I'll do my piece, and then you guys come up and you guys can say your piece. And I won't stop you. I'll let you go your 5 minutes. Me and you can talk a little bit, and then I'll drop you for the next caller. Okay? I promise y'all, that's how we gonna do it. That's how we gonna do it, okay? On Spock's honor. Yeah, no fighting. Okay, no fighting. We won't be fighting. No wonkiness, okay? But let me say thank you to everybody that donated to the channel today. Thank you to 30K UVL for gifting a membership. Thank you to G Honda for your contribution to the Rose Garden. And thank you to Richie-ish, for your contribution. Okay, I appreciate y'all so much. And thank you to anybody who liked the video, who subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate y'all being here with me today. It was fun as always. You guys taught me stuff. I had no idea that AOC was gonna potentially run for president. I had no idea. That's kind of scary compared, to what we saw earlier, which was her talking at the Germany convention, where she was fumbling her words and couldn't get any kind of like real factual information out that wasn't her opinion, So I think she's going to need a lot of work. They need to send her to civics class 101 so she can understand better what she's actually responsible for versus the federal government. But yeah, that's it for me today, guys. I love y'all so much. I will see y'all tomorrow night at 9, and then I'll likely see y'all in the chat over on SBC if they have a panel today, if they have a show tonight. I wasn't able to watch last night's show, but I will be in their chat later on there. And yeah. All right. Until we meet again, which is Monday night at 9. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Get ready, because I'm going to make that show spicy. Okay. It's going to be spicy. All right. For Rose Report Mondays, y'all. Don't forget about me tomorrow night at 9. I will see y'all then. Okay. Peace out.